Hi, this is Welcome to Self, caring for the human in the therapist's chair. And I'm your host, Dr. Hayley D. Quinn, fellow human, clinical psychologist, supervisor and trainer. Welcome to Self is a place where you can come and learn ways to elevate your own care and compassion. A place to rest and be soothed. A place to remember that you are human first and choose the helping profession as just one of the roles in your life. My aim is that this is a place of soothing, comfort, nourishment and nurture. A place where you can also welcome yourself. Hi, and welcome to another episode. I'd like to take a moment of gratitude for Jazz, who left me a comment on social media. Jazz said, "Thank you for sharing this wonderful podcast. It has helped me a lot where I was distressed in my clinical practice." Thank you so much, Jazz, for taking the time to let me know this. It really does make a difference to me. I'm so pleased that it's been helpful for you. I'm thrilled to introduce my next guest, Sarah Rees. Sarah's podcast was the first one that I went on as a guest, and it's part of what inspired me to start my own. Sarah is a BABCP accredited cognitive behavioural therapist who is also trained in compassion-focused therapy and EMDR. She works in private practice delivering online and face-to-face therapy, along with delivering clinical supervision for therapists. Sarah, like myself, believes that the most important relationship you'll ever have is with yourself, and that learning to understand your mind and change unhelpful patterns of thinking is one of the best things you can do to improve your mental health and well-being. With the right knowledge and tools, you can experience a happier life with less stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. Sarah helps people develop the coping strategies they need to reduce psychological distress and difficulty, and to build resilience through therapy, mental health blogs, and her podcast, Ask the Therapist. So it's with great pleasure that I return the favour and welcome Sarah onto my podcast. I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I enjoyed chatting with Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi,
And
Hayley.
thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. This is really lovely for me because your podcast was actually the first podcast of somebody else's that I ever went on.
Oh, wow. Lovely.
So this is nice to have you onto my podcast now. So welcome.
It's lovely to be here. Thank you so much for asking me. It's lovely to connect with you again.
Yeah, always. I feel very lucky that I saw you not that long ago in the UK and now again, and I'll see you again later in the year.
Which we've just discovered. I'm very excited at the conference, so that means I have to go to the conference now. So I can't wait.
Fantastic.
Looking forward to it.
Lovely. So you're zooming in from the UK, so it's morning for you. So thank you for starting your day with this. Do you want to just start with telling us a little bit about yourself and your pathway to a career in the helping professions and what it is that you do now?
Okay, so I don't know how far back I should start.
Wherever you like.
Suppose, okay, well, back in 1970. No, I won't go that far back. I suppose, how did I come to it? I started my career in the 1990s in, I don't know if you remember the Care and the Community Act, and we were closing down all the kind of big mental asylums in those big institutions and bringing people into the community, which was a bit of chaos at the time, if I can remember correctly. And I was a support worker, and I worked with in part of resettling people that had been in these big institutions for years and years. A couple had been born there, and some had learning difficulties, mental health problems, but some were literally, it's because they're illegitimate children, and they were now elderly being resettled into the community. So So I got the opportunity to go to these big hospitals and see them, which was kind of mind-blowing. And so that was how I came to that job. I have no idea. I can't even remember. I think a friend was doing it and said, oh, this is really good fun, and that's how I got into it. And then I was working with people with learning difficulties and mental health problems, and kind of decided that I was really interested in mental health problems and medication at the time, and treatments and stuff. And my next pathway was to become a mental health nurse. So that's the route I took down, and absolutely loved being a mental health nurse. I thought it was what I'd do forever and ever. So I worked in Manchester. I've worked in most of the hospitals, in most services in the community. I was a community psychiatric nurse for about 6 years. I thoroughly enjoyed that until there was this big restructure and they split everything out. And that just, I think that really threw me in my career, because I thought I'd be a community psychiatric nurse for the rest of my life. It was at a time where caseloads were nice and reasonable. I had people that were elderly, people that were young, a couple of my people on my caseload that needed more intensive support. You got to know families. And now I know that community psychiatric nurses have about 30 people on the caseload. If you're well, you're discharged. There's not that longevity of care. And so it just changed. So that really threw me, but I was always really interested in recovery and, how do we get people well? And I suppose coming from a medical background, I saw the impact of the psychiatric medication is, immensely helpful at times and changes people's lives and can be really damaging. And I just didn't think it's all needs to be on medication. There has to be more avenues. So that became interesting for me, and I did a degree in psychological interventions, and then I thought I know what I want to do. I want to change the NHS. I'm going to change the world, change the NHS. So I went into management for a while, and I managed the South Manchester primary care team, and quickly realised that I was probably not great as a manager, and I wasn't going to change the world, and I missed being part of the team, and doing the client work and working with people. So I took the training to become a CBT therapist. I'd done my counselling training a number of years before, so I had that good foundation. So I did my CBT training and worked in the IAT, but not for that long. I think I did about 6 months, and just then went into private practice, and everything changed again for the better. So, and that was about, that is coming up for, I think, 8 years ago now, which is shocking. So it's the longest I've ever done anything for. And so currently where I am, I'm in private practice based in Wilmslow in Cheshire. I do lots of online work now, which is what a lot of us are doing. So face-to-face, online. I support people who are making the transition into private work, so I do a bit of business coaching and mentoring. I do lots of supervision. I collaborate with on a website builder for therapists. I do blogs, podcasts. Probably will be doing some writing at some point. So I'm doing lots of stuff.
Lots of diversity. So a varied career, but along the same theme, and sort of starting from a place where you just found yourself. Your friend had this job and you sort of found yourself there, which has led to doing so much. And like you say, you've got your private practice, but then you've got a lot of other things that you do in that as well, don't you? And I've always, people I work with and supervise, I always say, some diversity in your practice can be so helpful, I think.
Yes, it can.
But of course, you've got a private practice very, very, very close to where I grew up.
Very close. Yes, only about 10 minutes away. So
fantastic. So, like you say, you're based in Wilmslow, Cheshire, in the UK. What is it you enjoy most about private practice? But also, what do you find most challenging?
So I suppose what I like most, I think I'm one of those multi-hyphenated people who likes to, didn't realise, I suppose, until I've come into private practice, how I like to do the breadth of stuff. Because I suppose I always knew, like, I like nursing, and the 9 to 5 kind of I didn't like as much. So I've always liked flexibility. But what I love about private practice is the flexibility, being your own boss, being really creative in the way you work with people. So I'm not, I tend to work with self-funding people. So I don't do work with referral agencies and some health insurance. So we have as many sessions as we need, works really collaboratively with the client. And it's the flexibility, the creativity, working with amazing people, being able to do podcasts like this. One of the things that really kind of pushed me into private practice was that I wanted to do the compassionate mind training with Paul Gilbert in Derby, and the NHS just wouldn't have funded that at that time. I don't, they might do now. And it's just having those opportunities, doing the training that I really wanted to do, have the supervision and as much of it as I wanted. There was so much I wanted to do. So that a few of the things that I absolutely love about private practice.
It's having more autonomy, being able to sort of focus on the things that you feel passionate about. And I think you're right. I mean, over here in Australia, we work under the Medicare system. So people get, at the moment, a maximum of 20 sessions. It was cut back to 10, and it may well be that again after the new year. And I think it does make it difficult, doesn't it? So when you can work with people who are funded differently or self-funded, then it makes a difference, because you can spend the time that's needed. These arbitrary funding packages are based on government decisions, not research. So
but also the other way, I hadn't realised that when I came into private practice, I'll sometimes have people that come for one session and say, I just want to see what it's like, that's it, I'm off. Or have 4 sessions and they're like, no, I want to go away, do this reading, and then if I need you, I'll come back. In the NHS, I'd like take everybody to 8 sessions. The power balance was different, and I hadn't realised it, So I love, I think it's really enhanced my skills, being able to work with people long term. It's very different therapy, and I just am really passionate about that. But also doing the much shorter work, depending on what people need. It's interesting when you put in a kind of, you've just got 10 sessions, we'll work to 10 sessions, people will have 10 sessions, but when you don't have those boundaries, you kind of think, well, what do we need? What do you need? What's right? You're constantly checking in all the time.
Fantastic. And what are some of the things that you find most challenging about it? Because it's not always easy running your own business, is it? And certainly here, when people study to be psychologists, for example, there is no teaching around how to run a psychology practice. There is no
that was
business
the big
training.
No, I mean, hopefully that'll come in time, but it's the same over here, that I had no idea about running a business or a website or accounts. I remember, setting up the most bizarre accounting system that took quite a long time for an accountant to unpick. But I was like, it was really bad. But some of the challenges, I think I've kind of got a handle on most of them now, but I think definitely it was the uncertainty, will this work? I remember when I left the NHS, I took on a rental that was more than my mortgage, and I was like, oh my God. But in doing that, I kind of had to make it work. So that was good. But I think for a long time, I was like, I lived with the uncertainty. I actually really like, now that I have some very busy weeks and quiet weeks, and busy days and quiet days, that really suits me. I could never do the consistency of 5 clients a day, 5 days a week. Just would never work for me. I like the up and down of it. So yes, and I think a lot of people worry about, so there's the uncertainty you have to manage, because especially with COVID, that my business halved in a week, and I did not see that coming at all. So there are risks, but you can manage those risks. I think lots of people worry about isolation. I'll be on my own. Well, I was more isolated in a big team, working in a really dingy cupboard where in the NHS, whereas now I've got a lovely room. I know lots of the business owners around where I work. I feel a lot more connected. But then I suppose I've worked at that. I've built up connections, like, you know, kind of doing this with you, and we've got to know each other while I've been in private practice. So my connections, I would say, have kind of really grown.
I think that's a good point, though, because it can be, if you're in a solo private practice, or even in some group practices here, it's just sort of people come and go. And I was very blessed. I worked in a group practice where we all worked for ourselves, but worked in the same practice. But we all spent lunchtime together. We didn't put clients over lunchtime. And that worked really well. Nice. But, you know, I know, speaking to a lot of people in group practices, it can be a little bit, they don't know the other people who are working there. And I think, like you say, you have to work at it. You have to create networks, don't you? You have to create a support system for yourself.
Absolutely. It's hugely important. And I suppose the last thing, I don't know how you found with this, and I'm still working on it, is that is boundaries, not working too much, because I'm so excited about it. I'm so passionate about it. And it's, you know, there's no admin to buffer the emails. I mean, I have had that at times, but still, it's your business. When people really need support, I really struggle to say no, or kind of stick to the hours that I set myself sometimes. So being boundaried.
I think living with my chronic illness and learning to sort of manage that and navigate that, for me, has been really helpful in keeping my boundaries firmer. I got to learn how to say no and be with the discomfort of saying no quite well. But it's an area that I work with a lot of people in, of how do you maintain the boundaries for yourself so you can take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
So I think a lot of people do struggle.
You're constantly learning, constantly working at that area to get it right.
What do you think has been the most helpful for you when it comes to running your practice?
The most helpful, I think, has been kind of having the support around me. So having amazing supervision. I think we both share. Do you have supervision with Mary Welford as well? Yeah. So having, you know, Mary as a supervisor was like one of the, I think I contacted her as I started in private practice, thinking she'll probably be too busy, but, you know, having that support, she's been phenomenal. And I've had other supervisors as well. So there's been times where I've kind of been in group supervisions and had other supervisors on top of that. So I've had loads of supervision, which has been really good.
Again, it's an important aspect, isn't it, to feel supported, that you're not actually on your own with this, but also to make sure, because we all have blind spots, don't we? So make sure that actually we are getting that supervision of our own practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've done a lot of work with different business coaches as well, and you know, to kind of, because I got really interested in kind of how businesses run and about marketing. I found it all really, really fascinating. So that's been kind of, it feels like a hobby, really. So that's been really good to work with. And I generally have worked with women, and that's been, you know, given me a lot of confidence, and, you know, working with women that have been doing amazing things. So that's been, you know, I've really enjoyed that. I think having a good website has been really helpful for me, and kind of, you know, that's been investing in that and understanding in how that works has kind of, that is the foundation of my business. That's how most people find me. And, you know, that's been hugely helpful. Working with, having a few business besties, so other therapists that do exactly the same as what I do. So, you know, there'll be some times where you'll say, oh, referrals are completely dropped off, I'm never going to be busy again, and they will pick you up at those times. So when you're having a struggle, they've generally they've been through it and they're out the other end.
So being able to normalize each other's experience, isn't it?
Yeah,
that this is what
yeah.
happens. Business is not consistent.
Yeah, no, it's not. And I
Yeah.
think finally is having a business plan in place, which is something I came to quite late in the day. I didn't even know what to put in one. So I was like, I'll have to skip that step and come back to it at a later stage. But now I like you were talking about, you plan your holidays for the year. Yeah. I do that now, and I'm working kind of 3-month slots of, right, September to Christmas, this is what I'm going to be focusing on, this is what I'm going to be doing, and then planning out 3 months at a time, and having goals for my businesses has been hugely, so having a good business plan and understanding business planning has been very helpful. And having a buffer has been helpful, financial buffer, because I'm like completely triggered by if I don't have money in my bank account, or I might not be able to pay something that is like triggering for me and it will take me off being able to work with clients. And so you have to learn what your threats are and kind of get those covered. So I'm kind of there. I was going to say 6 months salary in the bank. That would be a lie. I'm on my way to it.
But you make a good point, because this is about getting to know yourself, isn't it? It's like, know yourself, know the sort of things that are going to be problematic for you, know the sort of things that are going to put you into threat or put you under stress and overwhelm, and then put things in place in your business that can help kind of prevent, alleviate, buffer, that sort of stuff. Because it is a lot, because it's more than just being the therapist, isn't it? It's being the therapist and being the business owner. And managing all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when your business is running really smoothly and is nice and secure, you can focus on being the therapist, and that's what you enjoy. That's where you want your spotlight of attention to be. If it's on the business, then you're not going to be delivering the therapy, and then quite quickly you spiral into self-criticism and just it goes downhill a little bit. So having a good business, putting the time and investment in that to be solid, means that you can forget it and focus on your therapy. And I have I work from home now, but I do 3 days a week in Wilmslow, and when I'm there, all I do is I shut the door and I'm just with my clients and notes, and that's it. And then Mondays and Tuesdays I do other things. So I've kind of blocked out my time for certain things. You have to I think that's one of the things when I'm working with people, that they focus on the clients and the therapy, but they forget to put in time for marketing, accounts, working with coaches and stuff like that. They ignore that time, and that's what can lead to burnout, because running a business is time consuming.
And that's the thing, you've got to allocate time for it, haven't you? You can't do all of it every day of the week. So, and I think you were saying before about making a plan and sort of thinking, okay, what am I going to focus on for the next 3 months? And then being realistic about what can I give my time to in the next 3 months, so that you're not getting overwhelmed, that we don't take on too much and then overwhelm ourselves. Or thinking ahead. Like currently at the moment, I'm living in chaos and waiting to move house, and I'm having to pull back on some things so that I'm not overwhelmed, because my emotional sort of resilience and my energy levels are less because of the situation that we're living in right now. So it's important, isn't it, to tune in. Where am I at? What's going on in life? What's going on in my business, and how do I need to kind of massage that so that I can take care of myself and have, longevity in practice, sustainability in practice. All those things are so important. Hey.
Yeah, and I moved house last year. And I thought it nailed. I thought I've got this nailed until the last month, and then I was like, okay, I've not got it. It's so stressful, isn't it?
It's horrible.
It is, but it's totally worth it. But after I moved, I was like, the 3 months after that, I was like, this is a quiet phase in my business. I didn't really do anything. I really slowed it all down. And and you plan for that, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you were starting out today, and you were opening your own practice, what would you do differently, and what do you wish you'd known at the start?
Oh my God, I literally, we need to scrap out the next 2 hours. Because I didn't know anybody that had set up in private practice. So I made all the mistakes. I've like done it all. I think the biggest thing is I can't do numbers. I look at numbers and I go a bit blind. Probably got number dyslexia or something. So I should never have done my own bookkeeping and accountancy and never have done a tax return. That was really bad. So, and I was really like, I've got this. And I would talk to some people that would do their own books and stuff and manage it quite well. But that is the one thing I would have, you know what you're not good at and pass it on to somebody else. That would have saved me an awful lot of time. Yeah. And I think I just wanted to kind of have clients through the door. That was my kind of focus, so that I could build up the income and go, oh, I'm making it work. And actually, I wish I'd spent a bit more time thinking about what I wanted my business to look like.
Yes.
And because I did work a lot with referral companies, and ended up with, instead of one boss, I had now 10, requiring different paperwork and different computer systems. And they were quite rude to me, to be honest. And they didn't pay that well, or they'd pay 3 months later down the line. And it was just, I don't do that now, but I think, I was doing that, but also building up my website, and probably any marketing that I was getting through my website or business, I had to turn down because I was so busy with, so I wish I'd spent time thinking, what do I want this to look like? What do I want my life to look like? Where do I want my referrals to come from? And prioritize those rather than, just getting clients through the door. But I think it was the fear of, will I make any money? It was the
absolutely.
threats. So I wonder if know your threats.
Absolutely.
I think
you're spot on there. I know when I work with people, it's that question of, do you want to do that? Ask yourself the question, do I want to work with that presentation? Do I want to do that sort of insurance work or whatever it might be? What do you want life to look like? And then how can you actually factor in the things you need for your business within that?
Yeah.
And I think you're really spot on when you mention fear, because I think a lot of that is driven by, but what if I don't get any clients? So I just need to take whatever comes through the door. And like you realised, unfortunately, you then end up with likely a busy caseload of work that really you'd rather not have. And then it's hard to transition it to what you want. So I think starting out, like you're saying, some questions around what do I actually want my business to be is really, really wise.
Yes, yeah. And I kind of think now, if I don't kind of think, yes, I really want to do this work, and get an excitement, I kind of just say no to it. So I've really learned to tune in to kind of how things make me feel. Because every time I kind of pulled away from a referral company that had, that I'd made a lot of money from, it was really tough to do. So once you set it up, it's really scary to pull it back, but it's totally worth it. I think there's something about when you create space in your business, really exciting things come into it as well, which you have to just trust and just create the spaces.
It's like many things in life, isn't it? It takes courage to be with all the discomfort that shows up. But it allows you to actually build your business the way you want it to be, and to create your life the way you want it to be as well. So I know that you like me have done lots of training in CFT and compassionate mind training. How do you think cultivating a compassionate mind can assist to navigate these dual roles of helping professional and business owner? Because I know for me it's been really helpful.
Oh, it's been absolutely phenomenal. It's compassion focused therapy and the work Paul Gilbert and Mary and Deborah and all those it's completely changed my life, and it's fundamental to my business in that I know how to take care of myself. It was actually when I kind of came into private practice that I started to struggle with my health, after all those years of sick pay and stuff that, so I really had to start applying that stuff to myself. And I think, if you don't feel like you're doing a good job as a therapist because it's somebody else's health at the end of that, it's really tough. It's really tough. So that has, but to do that work, you have to look after yourself. Your mind is a tool from which you work, so you have to take care of that, so that, doing the mindfulness, the compassion focused therapy practices are hugely important. But I think what's helped me the most is developing the courage and the strength to make difficult decisions, because I suppose I would be like a bit more of a people pleaser. Things would be going wrong and I'd kind of go, oh, I don't want to do that. And now I'm a bit like, this is what's best for me, what's going to make me the best for my clients. And it's making tough decisions has been the thing that I've learned the most, I suppose. And really, using the model of CFT, I use that within my life and my business. So really identifying the threats when I'm in drive mode, I recognize that in myself, even if it's a positive, that excitement, I can kind of oversubscribe myself to lots of things. So if I feel like really
so many
excited,
shiny things. And I want to do them all. I want to do them all now.
Yes. So I recognize that feel, I'm still not, I'm good, work in progress and all that, but I'll try and tone it down. And, I can definitely lack the soothing systems. I have to, work at that. So having that model for your business. So like, working on the threats in the business, sometimes occasionally you'll get a difficult client or somebody won't pay you, and I do not want that to hijack my mindset too much. I've really focused in on, this is what my threat is, so how can I kind of get myself back to kind of a balance as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. I think for me, sort of, developing a compassionate mind has really allowed me to change my relationship with myself and listen to myself and tune in, like you say, start to get to know, where are my threats, where are my stresses, what sort of things overwhelm me, what sort of things bring me joy and excitement. How to know my limits and when I've gone over them so that I can pull back, and also the things that actually feel helpful to nurture yourself. And like you said, it's a work in progress, I think, for all of us, or as Diana Hill says, a life in process.
We're never the finished project, are we?
But it's so helpful, isn't it? And as I do, you live with chronic illness and chronic health challenges, and I know that this impacts how we manage our work life. What do you think are the biggest challenges that you face in terms of taking care of yourself, both within and outside of your work, and how do you try and address them?
The biggest challenges, oh gosh, I suppose it is getting a balance. I think we both are similar in that it's quite invisible conditions that we have, and that has been my biggest challenge, because I look fine sometimes, and sometimes inside I've not been fine, and I feel like I have to scream it to people, but I won't scream it to people, so people don't know around me. So I have a thyroid condition, which, I mean, literally, I think within months of starting my private practice, I was hit with a thyroid condition that gave me chronic fatigue for about 2 years, and that is terrifying. I mean, my background's in nursing. I'm used to doing 12-hour shifts. I have no boundaries. I can really put in the hours and not look after myself like you wouldn't believe. So it absolutely stopped me in the tracks, having to think about myself and slow myself down. And I do wonder, sometimes if it's interesting, the types of people that get these conditions that just stop themselves. Do you think that as well?
Well, I think, for me, I think there's this little wisdom. It was a very quiet wisdom voice that was showing up and showing up and showing up, and I was not listening.
Oh, God,
and then it's like, right, you're not listening. So I'll put you on your back. And then you'll
because you were a single mum doing your PhD, weren't you? I mean, when I heard your story, I was like, oh my God, I'm fine. I'm not an overdrive.
Single mum doing a PhD and sometimes working 3 jobs. I mean, I
Jesus
shouldn't
Christ.
laugh because it's not funny, but
It's not funny. It's not
when
funny.
you look
No,
back, it's
no,
like, oh my
I
God. But at
know.
the time, you're in survival mode and you're
Yeah,
pushing and you're
yeah,
pushing and you're activating that drive system and,
yeah,
threat-based drive system and
yeah.
keeping on going.
So
And
I
then
do
you
think if you
wonder why
don't
you
stop
get sick.
yourself, yeah, your body says, okay, enough of
Yeah.
that. And it's interesting
Well,
the time it came for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we're
Mm,
not robots, are we? So we
no.
honestly can't expect ourselves to keep pushing and pushing and
Mm,
pushing and pushing and not doing the things your body needs,
no,
which one
no,
of them is
absolutely.
rest.
Yeah,
Like
I
we're
know.
designed to
I know.
sleep. We're a species that's designed to sleep for, a large amount of hours a day.
Yeah, and
Um,
nap as well.
so
We should all
we,
have naps in the afternoon and stuff. So we're just
I
not
love napping.
programmed to do. Do you?
I'm a big advocate for napping now. I've decided. It's like,
Oh, fantastic. So yeah, it's kind of getting the balance for yourself, isn't it? Recognizing your boundaries, you get stopped in your tracks.
yeah,
I have celiac as well, and a lady of a certain age has the menopause to deal with, which
yeah,
I thought was nowhere near me until
yeah,
recent years. And
yeah,
and I can't believe how uneducated we are as women. Even as
yeah,
therapists, I never asked women about kind of hormonal health and
yeah,
stuff, and it's I'm almost disgusted, but it should be a fundamental part of our training, shouldn't it?
yeah,
Physical health, which I
yeah,
think that will come in. So I suppose it's people around you don't see your challenges,
yeah,
do they? So it's hard to have that validated. So then it's hard to validate it for yourself.
yeah,
But the biggest challenge is knowing your boundaries, getting better at it, but being really in tune in your body. And I think one of my motivations is that if you're not good for you, when you're not feeling good, you get very self-focused
uh-huh,
and your attention really narrows. But when you're in the best place and you're feeling good, you're much better for other people. So
yeah,
your attention broadens and you're outward focused, and that makes us much better therapists and much nicer people to be around. So
yeah,
if you struggle to do it for yourself, sometimes it's really thinking that self-care is actually the best thing for everybody around us as well.
yeah, yeah. And I think,
Mm.
for other therapists who struggle with chronic illness, because I think there's
Yeah.
lots of us out there, and it's not
Yeah.
really
Well,
something
who
that's talked
escapes? I
about.
mean, yeah, we all get hit at some point.
Absolutely, whether it's physical health, mental health, I think,
Mm,
I don't know about in the UK, but certainly here, I think there's an element of fear of people speaking out and saying, actually, I'm not well, which is
yeah.
really sad because I think one of the important things when you're dealing with whether it's chronic physical illness or chronic mental illness is learning to actually ask for help. Because, like you were saying, the
Yeah.
things that you and I deal with are invisible, and people,
Mm,
I can remember going places and people we know saying, "Oh, you look amazing." And I think, "Oh
mm.
my gosh, you don't even know what it took me to get here."
Yeah,
But
yeah,
because you look
yeah.
well, it's like, well, you must be
Yeah, well,
well.
I remember losing quite a lot of weight at one point, and everybody was like, "You look amazing! You look amazing!" It was like I was really ill with my thyroid condition. It wasn't,
Yeah, it's
it's
very
really
toxic,
bad,
isn't it?
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah,
asking, developing I won't say comfort because I think it can remain very uncomfortable. If you're somebody that's not been used to asking for help or finds that difficult,
mm,
is working on being able to ask for help, whether
mm,
that's stuff in your personal life because your health isn't great, stuff in your business because you're struggling with it. Like you were
mm.
saying before, there's so many aspects to business and there's so much
Yeah,
learning on top of staying up to date with all the therapy you're using and what have
yeah,
you. But actually reaching out to other people and asking for help.
yeah, yeah. But I think it's difficult sometimes for people to hear it as well because it's just not fashionable, is it?
Yeah.
And it's people want this Instagram kind of world. So if sometimes when people ask for help, other people just kind of blank it off a little bit because they don't.
Mm.
just being human and all our ups and downs is not trendy. It's not, so there's that challenge as well. Like I care
Hashtag
for
not trendy to be human.
It's not trendy to be human unless it's on Instagram.
We need to change this. It's
like... Yeah, I know. But it's
being human should be one of the trendiest things, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And with that comes our ups and downs. We all experience grief. Many of us are carers, aren't we, for other people? And that's like, we care for my mother-in-law's got dementia. I probably don't really mention that much because nobody wants to hear it, and that's tough. So there's something about opening up people's voices, isn't there, and other people hearing it. It's that the tragedy, isn't it? The dark side that Paul Gilbert talks a lot about, that life is really, really tough, and we can't pretend that it's not, and we can't do loads of therapy to get to the point where everything's going to be rosy forever. It's working with the tough stuff, isn't it?
We all suffer, and I think you make a good point. There's things going on, like you're looking after your mother-in-law with dementia, and people are in all sorts of different caring roles on top of being a helping professional in terms of, say, being a therapist for their clients, and actually acknowledging that for yourself. That actually I hold many roles, and some of them are really hard to hold, and I am human first, and I choose to be a helping professional as actually a work role. It's one aspect of our life, isn't it? And we need to acknowledge that actually we have full lives that aren't all about the work that we do.
No,
it's challenging work. It's challenging
it
work
is.
On a good day.
It is. What do we do? But it's so rewarding, isn't it? It's so,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, it's lots of other people are in jobs where you go home and you talk to your partner or you talk to your friends about your work, and you might, have a bit of a moan about your job, or you might talk about something exciting that happened at work. And generally as therapists, we don't get to do that, because we can't go home and start talking about our clients and what we heard and the stories we heard. So it's a lot to carry. And I think if you don't have good peer support, or you don't have good supervision, then you're actually holding a lot of stories. And if people are in therapy, they're likely going to be stories of suffering. So you're holding a lot of suffering by yourself.
I always say that one of the main things that my clients have given me is the ability to see that we are all struggling. We all have our stories. I get amazing people walk into my clinic room every single day, and I think they just look amazing, and then they have this underneath of this story, like everybody. And so I walk around the street going, you all have your stories. I know when so many people walk around and go, I'm broken, everybody else has got it together. That's the one thing that is it's interesting from being a therapist, isn't it, that we have that different take on it.
Absolutely. And having that ability to have that compassionate lens to see that actually everyone is suffering, including ourselves, and making sure that we include the three flows of compassion in our lives. Compassion to others, which most of us as helping professionals are very good at, very skilled at. Can give out loads of compassion. Here, have some compassion. I've got heaps of it. You can have some. But then also offering compassion to ourselves. And then, people will sometimes say self-compassion is the hardest. In my experience of talking to people, and from my own experience, is actually receiving compassion from others can be the one that's really tricky. And allowing ourselves as helping professionals to receive that compassion from others as well as giving it to ourselves.
Just I had Paul Gilbert on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and at the end we were talking, he asked me at the end about my health conditions, and he was like, that's tough, that's right. He was giving me compassion, because I was like, oh God, I know what you're doing. This is, I could have squirmed. He was like, that's really tough. I was like, oh, that's horrible. I was like, I realized that I'm just really not used to it. You know, he's been very therapeutic. He was offering me compassion. I really struggled with it.
It can be hard. I had spent a lot of time, you know, working on my own self-compassion. And pre-COVID, gosh, I don't even know when it was now, probably 2019, I went over to New York to present at Dennis Tersh's Compassion Summit.
Oh, wow.
And the evening before the summit, we had a dinner at his house, and I fell and busted my ankle.
Oh.
And of course, I'm with all these presenters who were presenting at Compassion Summit. So they're all these beautiful, compassionate people. And I'm on the floor, and everybody came rushing over to help. And I felt physically sick and just wanted to tell them all to go, I'm fine, I'm fine. I wasn't fine. I couldn't walk. And I had to have, I think it was Stan Steidel and Yotam, help me under my arms to get me back to the hotel. But for me, that was, and then throughout the summit, people going and getting my lunch for me because there was these stairs that I couldn't walk down, and having to be really open to receiving this compassion. And that was a massive learning for me.
So interesting, isn't it? That,
like I was shocked at first, but then really kind of looked and went, wow, this is something I need to work on, because I thought I was all over this compassion thing. Like, I know I'm compassionate to others, and I've got really good at being compassionate to myself. But when this compassion was coming to me, I was like you, it was like, ugh.
Well, you can't moderate it, can you? You can't grade it. I think even developing self-compassion, you can go, okay, right, done for the day, that's good, done my tick my self-care box, and off I go. I can forget that for the rest. But when it's from people, you can't moderate it. You can't, can you? You can't block it, really. So, well, you can, but if you really allow it in, it's really overwhelming. Yeah.
And I think one of the interesting things for me was that real understanding then. You know, I always think it's, you know, these experiences, and I think Paul Gilbert had said this to me at one point, or at a training, that, you know, we go through these difficult things, but as psychologists, they can be really good learning experiences. Like, once we've dealt with it on a personal level, they can actually be really good learning experiences as therapists. Because for me, it was like, okay, I need to titrate how compassionate I am towards certain clients as well. Or they're going to be in my room feeling like they want to leg it out the door.
This is a nightmare. Yes.
So just really actually moderating that you're not kind of being overly compassionate to people at the start, when actually that's really aversive for them.
Absolutely. So and I think people can really tell when you've had to do the work yourself. People can really tell, can't they? And you can feel like you're really doing kind of, they'll say, how did you do you do mindfulness every day? Do you do these compassion exercises? And I think if you can share that your experience of having to do them, that's can really open things up for people. And you know, but then sometimes people want the therapist to be kind of these perfect people that don't have the ups and downs and just anchors, don't they? And orcs, we're not like that.
No, goodness, no. Despite I think, you know, training sort of years ago, wanting you to be this kind of blank slate of don't let anybody know anything about yourself.
Yes, but I think that's quite unique in the compassion world, isn't it? That we kind of present as we're human too. We go through stuff, and it's showing that common humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would be one piece of advice? And I know that can be hard to single things down to one thing, but what would be one piece of advice you would share with our listeners?
Well, I think this is easy for me. I have brilliant. Something in mind, is that I really think that the most important relationship we have is with ourselves. And when we get that right, we are in the best place for everybody else. So it starts with ourselves, instead of kind of, often we're kind of focused outwards on what we can do for others and everybody around us. But if you're not okay, then that's going to fall. That's not sustainable. It's going to fall down. And like I said before, when you're struggling, our focus goes inwards and we're not great for everybody around us. But when we're in a good place, when we've got the relationship with ourselves kind of sorted, then we can see broad, and we're much better for other people around us. So I think creating awareness of mind is, really tuning into how you are, so that you can kind of get your own needs met, put your own oxygen mask on first, so that you can be in a good place for everybody else.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think I totally agree. The best and longest relationship we'll ever have. The most important and longest relationship. Hopefully the best relationship.
Hopefully the best, yes.
It's the one we have with ourselves. It's so important, isn't it? Yeah.
It sets the tone for everything else in your life. So
yeah, I honestly think so as well, that we can take care of our clients best when we take care of ourselves first.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a question I ask all of my guests. If you could meet your 80-year-old self, what do you think your future self would say to you?
It's such an interesting question, isn't it? I've not been asked that one before. It's such a, I think, oh my God, I hope I meet my, get to 80, which is like phenomenal, isn't it? I think if I could meet my 80-year-old self, she'd say, slow down and enjoy the moments more. Notice the moments. Yeah. I remember I did this thing on Instagram a while ago, and I just did it for myself, but every day I'd take a picture of a moment and then I'd post it and kind of go, today's moment. And that was really good at kind of, because I'd go about my day thinking, what's a nice moment? What's going to be my moment today? And it would, just be something tiny. And I think, maybe if I could do that every day, that'd be really good. So notice the moment, slow down.
Yeah, lovely.
Because I think it goes so fast, doesn't it? We'll be 80 before we know it. Hopefully, I don't know. Yeah.
It's like, I want to get there, just not yet.
I want to get there, just not yet. Yeah, slow it down. But it'll be here,
Fantastic.
So
if people want to find out more about you or get in touch, where can they find you and engage with you and your work? And I'll put links.
Oh, brilliant. My website's
on the show notes.
Everything's on my website. So I do lots of blogs for on different mental health topics and journaling and therapy, and there's Therapist Corner on there, stuff for other therapists. So my website's sarahrees.co.uk, and I'm probably at the moment most active on Instagram, I'd like to say, but I've been just off it the last couple of weeks. But I normally do lots of stuff on Instagram, and the podcast is Ask the Therapist, where you can listen to a podcast I did with Hayley, which was fantastic.
Oh, you've got some great stuff on your podcast, some great guests.
Yeah, it's fun to do, isn't it? It feels like such a treat to have an excuse to kind of contact some amazing people and get them on and have some great conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. So website, podcast, Instagram, although you're having a bit of a break from that, which I think as well can be a very good part of self-care, to just step back and go,
I just wax and wane with Instagram a bit. Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. I've really enjoyed myself. It's nice being the host.
Thank you so much for coming on. It really is an absolute pleasure, and it's lovely to have you on my podcast, having been on your podcast. And fantastic. I look forward to seeing you at the Compassionate Mind Foundation conference in Edinburgh in October.
I'm booking it. I can't wait.
So excited.
Fantastic. I know. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. And just to give them a little plug, actually, just for anybody that can't go to Edinburgh, it is online as well. So they can go to the Compassionate Mind Foundation website and find out information about it there. Fantastic.
Yeah. It's going to be a good one. They are good fun.
They are. So thank you again. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, thanks, Hayley. Bye.
See ya.
Thank you for sharing this time with me today. I hope your time here was helpful and supportive. If there has been something in this episode that you have found helpful, I invite you to share it with another person you think might benefit. I'd also love it if you'd like to leave a review wherever you tune in. Reviews really help to increase awareness of podcasts, meaning I can spread helpful information more widely. All reviews are welcome and much appreciated, as I know they take time out of your day. Music and editing by Nissa Ray. Thanks, Nissa. I wish you all well in your relationship with yourself, and may you go well and go gently.